What is going on, all you Pokemon collecting maniacs out there? This is Ryan, the Pika Pika Papa, and today we're going to be talking about Scarlet and Violet and how those prices have been moving month over month. And if you watch this channel at all, you know that we're able to do that because I keep tons of Excel spreadsheets in the background. And right around the 15th of every single month here in the Scarlet and Violet space, I record the top 20 singles prices from every single set that has come out in the Scarlet and Violet generation. Now, I do the same thing for the Sword and Shield. I do it for Sun and Moon. I do it for XY, but in those generations, I only do it for the regular sets that have booster boxes. But since Scarlet and Violet was newer, I started doing it for all the specialty sets too. And it really is fantastic. I feel so fortunate. And I'm so thankful that I started doing it because it allows us to look at the hobby from a very different lens. It allows us to understand how things are moving at a macro level, how trends are happening, the patterns that are emerging. And what's been most exciting for me lately has been the fact that Sun and Moon and the XY era have really been moving in lockstep in terms of price appreciation. We all know that throughout the most of 2025, XY era has been on fire, obviously with Mega Evolution Pokemon. Obviously, they originated in the XY era. A lot of people are buying those cards up. So XY has been doing really well. Sun and Moon too. Sun and Moon has been on absolute fire. It's just been wild to watch. Not only the cards, but the booster boxes. I think 4 of the booster boxes in the Sun and Moon era are now over $2,000. But what's been interesting to me is watch how Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield has reacted to those 2 generations popping off in price because Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield have been depreciating. We've been watching the value of those top 20 singles cards really come down. So we had 2 generations spiking up. We had 2 generations coming down. And if you watch this channel a lot, I love cards from all different generations. So I'm always trying to take what the market is giving me. And that means certain segments will be going up while others are coming down. And if I can find joy and excitement out of the ones that are going down, that's where I'm going to be spending my money. So there's been lots of buying opportunities, and I wanted to highlight that today. So in order to understand where we are this month, we have to look at the exact slide that we had last month, because that'll kind of frame up why we went into this and that last 30-day period with the mentality that we did. So here before you right now is the graph that we looked at last month. Now, because Scarlet and Violet is so new, I have to eliminate some of the newer sets that have just launched. I wait until they have at least 6 months of age behind them before I include them in the aggregate. There's just too much that fluctuates in the beginning. So you'll see that that graph up there is the aggregate value of all of the sets from Scarlet and Violet base all the way to Prismatic Evolutions. And what you can see is how the total value of those top 20 singles cards from each of those sets has moved. You can see, hey, February, March, we're doing okay, but then from March all the way till August, it was coming down. But the call out for August, and I have it highlighted in that blue box, is if you look in Scarlet and Violet, and if you look in Sword and Shield, the rate of price depreciation, the rate of price decline significantly slowed. And we have seen this pattern happen a lot in the past. And during the times where the prices are coming down, when we see them start to flatten out, when we see them start to find support, that can be indicative that it's a great opportunity to buy some of these cards that maybe you missed when they first came out, or maybe you missed a year ago. In Sword and Shield, we talk about it. The time to buy Sword and Shield was 2 years ago. But if you weren't around 2 years ago, or if you missed out on them 2 years ago, opportunities like this, when the prices are coming down, is your best chance to grab these amazing cards. So we talked about it in August. We said, hey, listen, both of these generations are starting to slow down. In the past, when we have seen this, the month after, we've seen at least flattening, if not price appreciation. So be on your toes, everybody. And then this is what we also looked at. So previously, this is an extension of what we saw in the Sword and Shield era because I think it's important. So when we talk about how you see the price depreciation, which is followed by price appreciation, this elongates that. And what I'm talking about is if you look in July, August, September, October of 2024, the aggregate value of those Sword and Shield prices, they were coming down. But then what happened? November, December, January, February, March, those aggregate value prices started to come out. So you can see that it's very chunky, right? It declines for a period of months, then it increases for a period of months, then it declines for a period of months. And that's why last month we said, hey, listen, we could be on the verge of something really cool happening. Now, before I show you where the numbers are this month, before we get into some of the singles cards and the overall sets and how they move month over month, as you can see, we do a ton of work behind the scenes here at the Pika Pika Papa channel. So I want to do a pause and just say, if you find value in this, if you enjoy it, most importantly, if you're having fun, hit that subscribe button or give us a thumbs up. We do a ton of work. Those 2 small things go a long way in helping us out. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. So now that that's out of the way, let's take a look at what we have seen. And I have it highlighted in the blue box. I'm not going to bury the lead. But look at what has happened to these top 20 singles cards in Scarlet Violet and Sword and Shield from August to September. Just like we had, we never say anything for sure. Nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody knows what's going to happen. But just like we had anticipated, we have seen a big turnaround in both of these singles card spaces, kind of right on point with what we would expect. And so now, I will say this, the Sword and Shield, I did the whole video on Friday. We went really in depth. If you didn't see it, it's super cool to understand how the cards have moved and where this big jump is coming from. But Sword and Shield is incredibly aggressive, right? Up 22.64% month over month. And then Scarlet and Violet, it's not sleeping on itself, right? It's up 12.5% month over month after a 1.7% decline in the previous month. Now, the numbers are a little bit different than the last slide because guess what I can include? Now I can include Journey Together in here. So as I'm able to add more and more sets, it makes these numbers more and more valid. So now Journey Together is over the 6-month mark. So Journey Together is in here. But look at how the graph has performed. Look at how the price was coming down, just started to barely flatten out. And sometimes in the past, we've seen it flatten out for a period of a couple months. It doesn't always just shoot right back up like this. But again, anytime I see this long period of price depreciation, then it starts to flatten out just a little bit. For me, that tells me if there's cards I missed out on, it could be an interesting opportunity to jump in there and buy them. So this is it. We're going to talk about some singles cards. We're going to talk about the sets that have performed best now. So what I want to call out is last month we talked about the Mew, and sometimes there can be these early indicators of future price appreciation. And one of the things that we talked about was last month, even though the base set, even though pretty much everything was flat month over month, we started to see these cards start to slow down in terms of price depreciation, right? The Bubble Mew had already broken out. This card was already up above its all-time high. And we said this could be the first of many. We could see a lot of these Scarlet and Violet cards, which are really, really awesome. Now we're in the Mega Series. We could see a lot of these setting new all-time highs. What I did not expect, to be honest with you, was for this card to jump all the way up to $656. So again, I think it was really interesting. I think it was very cool. This was kind of the first one to break out, and I wanted to highlight that one more time. Now, these are the sets that saw the biggest gains month over month: Obsidian Flames, Pokemon 151, and Paldean Fates. Now, this is, I think it's coincidental, but I want you to think about what the biggest chase cards are from these sets. Pokemon 151, what's the biggest chase card? It's a Charizard, right? Obsidian Flames, what's the biggest chase card? It's a Charizard. Paldean Fates obviously has the Bubble Mew, but what's the second biggest Charizard? And that card actually has a bigger percentage gain than the Bubble Mew month over month. It's a Charizard. So when you're looking at these sets and these generations, and you're looking at these areas of the market that have just absolutely been getting their tail kicked in terms of pricing, I say it all the time, like you can do far worse than buying big name Pokemon like Charizard from epic sets like Paldean Fates and Pokemon 151 with incredible artwork like all of those cards have. Like, there is a high degree of safety in it. There's no such thing as a foolproof investment here in the Pokemon space. It could all go to H in a handbasket overnight. But those are the cards that I'm looking for, is those big name, awesome artwork from big sets. And just look, all of these sets have literally crushed it month over month. Obsidian Flames as a whole is up 47%, 151 is up 44%, and Paldean Fates is up almost 50% month over month. Just absolutely wild. Now, thankfully, we looked at a bunch of singles cards last month, and we can do the same thing again. So all three of these Charizards, we featured them last month. And as you can see, the things that we talked about last month were these prices starting to flatten out. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's just, I want to beat it into everybody's heads. Like, those are the price patterns that you're looking for on TCG Player. Big name cards, awesome artwork from big sets, prices starting to flatten out. So these are the exact graphs that we used last month. And look at what has happened, okay? So when you see what it looks like there, here's what it looks like now. All three of these cards have significantly spiked in price. Now, just seeing the fact that it was flat in and it's of its own probably wasn't enough, but the fact that Sword and Shield was flattening out, the fact that Scarlet and Violet as a whole was flattening out, I think was a really, really good indication. And again, all three of these cards obviously gave great rewards to anybody who was able to pick some of them up last month. Next thing that we're talking about, okay, these weren't the biggest gainers, but these were kind of the middle of the pack gainers right here. And there's some pretty cool names in here. Paldea Evolved, you know, I am a huge fan of Paldea Evolved. Twilight Masquerade, it is not my personal favorite set, but the hobby absolutely loves it. You got some great trainers in there. You got the Greninja in there. Lots to love about it. But what's interesting to me is, just like the whole market can sometimes downturn and pull great sets down, sometimes the whole market can upswing as well, and it can pull not so great sets up. And I'm not knocking Scarlet and Violet base set and Stellar Crown. I love Squirtle. It's one of my daughter's favorite characters, so I'm not knocking that. But when I compare Scarlet and Violet and when I compare Stellar Crown, like, they don't even hold a candle in terms of what I consider set greatness to Paldea Evolved and Twilight Masquerade. Yet because the whole market is starting to swing up, we're starting to see them join as well. So as far as I'm concerned, Scarlet Violet base, a little bit of a trap. Stellar Crown, again, a little bit of a trap there. But Twilight Masquerade and Paldea Evolved are absolutely crushing the game. Again, last month we featured 3 cards. These are the exact graphs that we had last month. We talked about the Greninja starting to find that support line. We talked about the Squirtle from Stellar Crown. We have said there is going to be a card, which will be a chase card from Stellar Crown. We don't know what it will be, but it will probably be more than $50. It will probably be the Squirtle, and that's where the card was last month. And then obviously the Magikarp is just one of my favorite cards from the entire Scarlet Violet generation. And again, here's what's happened. The old graph versus the new graph. Greninja has absolutely spiked up. Magikarp is setting new all-time highs. The Squirtle, a little bit of a too aggressive price spike for my taste, if I'm being completely honest, but I have multiple copies of the card. I'm not in the market for it. I got a couple PSA 10s, one for each of my daughters. So I'm happy to see the price spike. But again, sometimes the price spike is too aggressive. I would rather see it be a little more organic, a little bit slower versus these really, really aggressive jumps. But that's just the market that we're in right now. It's absolutely wild out there. So the next one we're going to talk about here are the sets that didn't do so great. So what I am doing for both Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield is it appears that the big cards are the ones that are really starting to take off right now. But I want to identify some cards that have not taken off yet, all right? Usually the big cards are a leading indicator. They're the first ones to see these aggressive price spikes. And then some of the really awesome, either third or middle tier type cards tend to pull up over time. So I'm going to do a video on that. But when you look at the sets that didn't perform as well as some of the other ones we've talked about, Surging Sparks, I mean, not a huge gain comparatively. I mean, Sword and Shield, or excuse me, Scarlet and Violet base and Stellar Crown outperformed Surging Sparks in terms of overall top 20 card growth month over month. Prismatic Evolutions was down again, 1% month over month. You got Journey Together was down. You got Destined Rivals. Destined Rivals is super new, so, you know, I wasn't really going to include it, but we have to talk about it because it's so incredibly awesome. But even Destined Rivals, as the market is turning up, it's only up 8% compared to some of the peers. So take all of that into consideration. And again, some of my favorite cards from this set that we're going to talk about, you know how much I love that Umbreon card from Prismatic Evolutions. I think Prismatic Evolutions is going to be a very special set. I think 5 years from now, all of the cards and all of the sealed product are going to be worth just a ridiculous amount of money. So seeing that card continue to come down, that's the Mewtwo, obviously, from Destined Rivals. The Pikachu, huge fan of that from Surging Sparks. And the Lily's Clefairy, man, I've been a huge fan of that card for Journey Together. I think it is very oversold. I think it has an opportunity. And again, these are the price graphs that we looked at last month. And what have we seen in a very short period of time? Lily's Clefairy is having a huge jump. Pikachu is finally working its way back up to the $300 mark. I love this card under $300. Now, I might be blinded by personal bias, but I do love this card under $300. I do like seeing the Team Rocket's Mewtwo, even though it's a very, very new set. I like to see it bounce up like that, all the way up to $380. And again, the Umbreon from Prismatic Evolutions, little bit of a bump there, but still, for whatever reason, the Prismatic Evolution singles just aren't moving in lockstep with the rest of the space. It might be because they started off so incredibly high, so they're kind of just normalizing. I think everybody felt this was going to be Evolving Skies 2.0, so they were paying Evolving Skies prices right out of the gate, and now things are just normalizing a bit. But in the long run, I still think these sets are going to do really, really well. So that's it. Those are the cards that we looked at. Those are how the eras have moved. I think it's a really, really cool view, and I'm so excited to continue to bring this to you. I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed the content. And if you did, hit that subscribe button or give us a thumbs up. Those two small things go a very long way in helping my small channel out, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. All right, everybody. I will talk to you later. See ya. Bye.